Some bad ADPs. There are some bad ADPs out there. Let's talk about it right now on FFT Express. All right, we're taking a look at early average draft position from Fantasy Pros, and Jamey has identified some running backs and wide receivers that he thinks are going too high, and this starts with who, Jamey?
Alvin Kamara, he is RB15 on Fantasy Pros. His ADP is 38th overall, which isn't horrible if you're going to buy into him, but there are some guys going after him that I do like better. One specifically would be Ken Walker. Look, we know what Kamara is going to do. He's going to catch a lot of passes if he stays healthy, but he's going to be 31, I believe, at some point during the season. Coming off a year where he missed the last 3 games of the year with a groin injury. The bigger thing, though, is
he'll be 30 in July.
He'll be 30 in July, excuse me. Okay. The biggest thing is this offense could be terrible, and we don't know. Look, he caught passes last year from the non-Derek Carr quarterbacks, and I think that Kellen Moore will be good for him overall if everything goes right. But you're asking for a lot of things to go right. An offensive line that's still questionable, a quarterback situation that could be the worst in the NFL, and a team that's not going to score a lot of points if things go that way. So I just think to take him close to the 3rd round, to take him as a top 15 running back, you're asking him at his age to continue to be this awesome receiving threat, which he can be, but I'd rather take him close to a round later.
He is 51st in CBS ADP, so that's be better. Great. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's Alvin Kamara. That's our first value that we're saying. Not so good. Not so good. Who else you got?
So I love RJ Harvey, and I'm not scared about the J.K. Dobbins signing ruining him, but he's still going on Fantasy Pros as RB20 at 50th overall. Again, the 50th overall, I don't really have a problem with, but really it's some of the guys that are going after Harvey. And I think this hasn't necessarily reflected the change of what could happen with Dobbins. Look, he's a really talented running back, J.K. Dobbins, as we saw last year. And so it's a great move by the Broncos, but it just really hurts the clear upside of Harvey, who I know you felt this way, and I certainly did, that he was the 2nd best rookie running back after Genty when we came out of the NFL draft, that there was such a path to success for him in a Sean Payton offense. Like, it was hard to overlook. Well, that path now could be completely closed off. Will it be? I don't think so, but it could be. And so here are some guys that are going after him that I would rather have. I'd rather have James Conner. And, I don't really love older running backs, but I think, again, easier path to success. Trevion Henderson, who I think is going to share some production, but could easily be the best running back in PPR ahead of Harvey. I'd rather have him. And I think I'd still rather have David Montgomery, who, as we know, last year got off to a great start, was having a better season catching the ball than Jahmyr Gibbs was before he suffered his injuries and started to miss some time. So those are 3 guys. I'm torn on, even at this point, between Harvey and Judkins, Harvey and Caleb Johnson. I think he's closer to those guys than he is to some of the guys that we listed. Again, I still think RJ Harvey could be a number 2 running back. I still think he has top 20 upside, but the path got a lot harder for him to get there. And so he should not be drafted in this range right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, now I'm looking at NFC average draft position. These are high stakes leagues. And just in the last week. So here we can set a date range and see how the Dobbins signing impacted Harvey's ADP. So he is basically exactly what you have. He's behind Connor, Montgomery, and Henderson. And then it's Harvey. It's Connor, Mixon, Montgomery, Henderson, then Harvey. And then it's Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift. Would you take DeAndre Swift over him?
I would right now. I think, again, you look at the opportunity that Swift has in front of him. It's amazing, with nobody brought in of significance to, compete with him besides a 7th round running back and new offense with a better offensive line. Like, there's a lot to like about DeAndre Swift. Heath is certainly banging the drum for him to go much higher than I would take him. But if you're comparing him to, a lot of these rookie running backs, I think Swift's in a better spot.
Okay, let's take a break on fantasy football today and talk about some wide receiver values that we do not like right now on FFT Express. All right, who's the first wide receiver you want to get to here in terms of going too soon? We don't like the ADP.
Stop me if you've heard this before, but it's Mike Evans at wide receiver 19 at 42nd overall. Again, 42nd overall is hard to argue, especially if it's a wide receiver heavy draft. But again, here are some guys that are going after him that I would rather have instead of Mike Evans at this point. Rashee Rice, who's the 21st wide receiver at 46th overall, excuse me. I would take DJ Moore ahead of Mike Evans right now, and I would take Cortland Sutton ahead of Mike Evans as well. And that's probably the 2 that would get more pushback than anything. But you look at Sutton, well, what is he probably going to give you? 1,000 yards receiving and maybe 10 touchdowns? I mean, that's what you're expecting from Mike Evans, right? Evans' track record much better, But then you look at the offenses, and there's so much competition for Evans this year. And he was not performing at the same level that he finished the way he started because of Chris Godwin, who's going to come back. And now they have Emeka Egbuka. So I understand why Evans is getting drafted ahead of Sutton. I would take Sutton. And again, I think DJ Moore, especially with Burden being banged up in mini camp, and Loveland being banged up a little bit in mini camp, like I still think DJ Moore is going to be the best receiver for the Bears. Much better season, I hope, for him because of Caleb Williams. And then Rashee Rice to me is an easy one because I think a player on his ascension level compared to where Evans, who's 32 and probably starting to decline a little bit, I'd rather have Rice.
Yeah, you know what is interesting about this Chris Godwin argument when it comes to Mike Evans, because when Godwin was healthy last year, Evans was not even a top 20. I think it was 26-ish or something like that.
14.3 PPR points per game.
Yeah, which is fine, but it's nothing like what he was, for the full season or certainly after the Godwin injury. I don't really think Godwin's going to be as effective as he was. So, because he's coming off such a severe injury. I don't know this. This is just my guess. However, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get fewer targets, right? That's when you see guys coming off these major injuries, these receivers, Godwin's an example. Sometimes they get plenty of targets. It's not like they're not on the field. It's not like they don't get looked at. They just don't do as well with the targets. So even if Godwin isn't himself, I still see a scenario where he affects Mike Evans negatively just with his presence alone.
And now you have Egbuka. And let's not forget, this is the guy that kind of gets lost a little bit. Jalen McMillan was really good for them last season at the end of the year. And he didn't need a lot of targets to be that good. So what happens if he does get a few more targets?
I also think you're getting serious regression from Baker Mayfield. I just don't think he's good. What did he throw? 40 touchdowns last year?
Yep, 4,500 yards.
Yeah, 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns. Maybe he can do it again, but I don't know. I'll take the under. Give me another wide receiver whose value you don't like.
DeVonta Smith, wide receiver, 24, 52nd overall. I hope DeVonta Smith produces at a high level. I know you do. You made a trade for him in our Baked Burger Dynasty League. But when everybody's healthy and Barkley's doing what he's doing, we saw the pitfalls last year. And so, yes, A.J. Brown's track record suggests 1 or 2 missed games. Dallas Goedert's track record suggests 3 to 4 missed games. So if those guys are absent, then DeVonta Smith's numbers pop. But you're taking him ahead of some other receivers that I certainly would rather have. I don't know about you, but I'd rather buy into the upside of what Xavier Worthy could be, who's going right after him. I'd rather have Jerry Jeudy with the potential of what he could be with Joe Flacco. And I'd rather have Travis Hunter, who I think is going to have a standout rookie season, even if he's spending too much time playing on defense. So there's just 3 guys that are going after him that I'd rather have than DeVonta Smith. I think he's in that blob. We talk about this a lot, basically like wide receiver 20 through 40. You can make a strong case and you can make a pro and con for all these guys to be, top 20-ish caliber wide receivers. So he belongs in this group and he can easily outperform a lot of these guys. But I just saw what I saw last year with Barkley there and the other guys staying healthy. And DeVonta Smith makes me a little bit nervous. I'd rather draft him as a wide receiver 3 than what he's being here valued as a wide receiver 2.
I would definitely take Hunter and Worthy over him. I have a feeling I'm not going to be drafting a lot of Jerry Jeudy. I don't see Flacco starting that many games. I could see this team having one of the worst quarterback situations in the NFL. And I am a Jeudy guy. I really like him, but at the same time, it's mostly because he only caught 4 touchdowns, but he was wide receiver 30 last year, so he hasn't really done it. I guess that might not be fair to say. He just had a 1,200-yard season. It's pretty good, but he hasn't scored a lot of touchdowns in his career. He doesn't get a lot of targets in that area. I guess that could change. I think I guess there's still some projection there with Jerry Jeudy, and I don't know that I want to bank on that, plus what could be just a horrible mess at quarterback.
I guess the thing would be is, A, how many games do you think Flacco's going to start? And B, do you think if it's Sanders, is there that much of a drop-off for Jeudy?
Yes. I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not a Sanders guy, and I think he could be fine, but as a rookie, it's a lot to ask for. And if it's the other 2 guys, Flacco could start 0 games. You never know.
Start 0 games.
So, look, it's June 20th, so we reserve the right to change our opinions. I think as of now, if I had to draft right now, I'm a little too afraid of that Cleveland quarterback situation. I don't think I can make a case, though, that DeVonta Smith has more non-injury upside than Jerry Jeudy. He doesn't have big non-injury upside. That's the problem with Smith. Jeudy does. But I think he just has a ton of downside too. It's just quarterback related.
Yep.
And the question is Cedric Tillman and David Njoku, do those guys matter? How much do they matter for Jerry Jeudy? Don't know. All right. We'll talk about it some other time. Have an awesome weekend. Thanks to Jamey. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. This is FFT Express. I'm Adam Aizer. See you later.